Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today on a bright Saturday morning in our prelude event to the Baking Symposium 2022, proudly brought to you by BELLS Baking Studio under the greater umbrella of the BELLS Academic Group. We are very excited to have all our guests here with us today, and of course, all of you that's in front of the screen right now to join us in this short 1 hour webinar to learn about everything pertaining to baking. And of course, that would not be possible without our guest chef today, the Sensitive Chef Delcie, who will be joining us live from our new East Point Mall baking studio to explain to us more about the importance of healthy baking and that healthy baking can be very delicious as well. And she'll be sharing with us today on a very wonderful recipe that I've tried personally. It is a banana apple muffin that is created without the use of butter, eggs, and dairy, 3 of the most critical elements that is required in baking. And yet, she could magically make a muffin appear without the use of these 3 critical elements. And to top it all up, these recipes are also good for children and also those who are diabetic. And of course, before we bring Chef Delcie on board, allow us to share more with you about what we do in BELLS Baking Studio. Well, BELLS Baking Studio have been bringing us, on all those around Singapore, lots of exciting baking programs to let bakers know more about how to bake. Whether you are a beginner or a novice in the field of baking, feel free to join us in all our baking studios located island-wide, with recipes ranging from tarts and bread, cakes and cookies, with more than 10 recipes in every category. We even have our latest edition, our dim sum as well. Convenient located at Tanjong Pagar, East Point, and also Suntec City, we bring to you hands-on technique that are suitable regardless of how your skill level is, even if you are a beginner in baking. So if you're interested to find out more about our baking program, do call us, do WhatsApp us at 8868-8629. I repeat, that's 8868-8629, whereby our course consultant will be speaking to you and to find the next nearest available date that could assist you in stepping into our studio to learn about baking. And in case you do not know, our courses are all SkillsFutureCredit eligible. Meaning if you are Singaporean, you could actually tap on your SkillsFutureCredit to subsidize or, if not, part of your training program. So what are you waiting for? And if you're asking yourself what the entire SkillsFutureCredit is all about, later on, we will have with us live in the studio in a few minutes, Mr. Brian Wong, Senior SkillsFuture Advisor from Southeast CDC, that will take up a little bit of our time to explain to us more about what the SkillsFutureCredit is all about, how you could make use of it, and how you could join many Singaporeans in upgrading your skill and learning that one thing that you have always wanted, subsidized and supported by your very own SkillsFutureCredit. Important point for everyone to note that the program under BELLS Baking Studio is subsidized up to 70% for some of them, or even more. At the same time, you could also use your SkillsFutureCredit. And that is why a lot of our students are now hopping on board, having their course fee fully subsidized. And that, of course, includes our baking program as well. What could be better than that? Learning baking, picking up a new skill, fully subsidized by your SkillsFutureCredit, and also partially subsidized by SSG as well. Benefits of being a Singaporean. I love my thing I see. All right, and I'm giving a big shout out right now to everyone here to the Baking Symposium that BELLS Baking Studio will be bringing to everyone, that will be coming on the 6th of July at Lifelong Learning Institute. So come join us, whereby we will have a lot of employers in the entire event, ranging from bar and cook, as you can see on the screen right now, bakers and cook, bread talk, all right, you have Butterbean, Goodwood Park Hotel, Wu Bao Chun, Toast Boss, Sui Heng, Tiong Bahru Bakery, and many more. And employers that are right there, ready to hire. More than 2,000 jobs will be there waiting for you. So if you're interested to venture into the industry, not only as a baker, but joining this colorful industry of baking in Singapore. I mean, who don't love bread in Singapore? A lot of people love bread. So please feel free to come and join us in this event and explore the many careers that are available for you right now, especially so if you're looking at a career transition or maybe even a move up to what you're doing right now. And of course, with us, we will also have a lot of well-known baking partners in the industry, ranging from Prima, Bio Creations, and even UTalk, to feature to you some of the latest technology and also flour products that's available in the market. And not to forget, there's also a live demonstration from the master chef in BELLS Baking Studio to show you some of our dim sum recipe that is getting our students all excited right now. If you're thinking of how to make a chi chong fan, yes, you can do your own chi chong fan at home. You can definitely come to this event, meet up with our chef, and pick up some quick skills in our short little demonstrations. And at the same time, our course consultants are there as well. So if you'd like to speak to somebody with regards to SkillsFuture and SkillsFutureCredit, we are all there to assist you. All this happening in Lifelong Learning Institute in the mega event hall on the 6th of July from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And without further ado, I think everybody is all getting excited right now. I hope you have got your breakfast, because I've got mine. Chef Delcie is going to come on board very soon to feature to us a very wonderful recipe called the banana apple muffin that is made with no butter, no eggs, and no dairy. Up to this point, I still cannot fathom how that can be done. And there is no other than the sensitive Chef Delcie that could come on board right now to tell us exactly how to bake this miraculous recipe, good for children, and I say, even for those around us that may have diabetes. All right, so let's not take any more time away from her. Let's put our hands together at home and clap very loud and welcome Chef Delcie live from our baking studio at East Point Mall. Chef Delcie, the time is all yours.
I'm Delcie Lam. I'm the sensitive chef and founder of Delcie's Desserts and Cakes. I started when I was 12 years old. My grandfather, who brought me up, brought me to a community dinner where I won my first lucky draw prize, a cake mixer, which is still working. And I've been enjoying baking ever since. In 2008, when I started my business, shortly 3 months after, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. It was also in the hospital that she celebrated her 50th birthday. Back then, I didn't know how to bake a cake that was suitable for her diet, and I also couldn't find one from a regular bake shop. So end up, I just buy a normal cake that she couldn't enjoy. A few days after, she passed away, and I really just want to shut down my business after. But my husband, he encourages me to tribute this business back to her, and this was when I started baking healthy cakes. In 2009, when I started baking healthy cakes, we have faced like big challenges such as lack of ingredients, because it's not easy to source ingredients that are healthier. Also, they are mostly very expensive to use. What's more, there's no ready-to-use recipe that I could just, bake and sell. So I have to end up doing a lot of R&D in the kitchen, and I spent almost 6 months baking every single day in that kitchen and testing out unsuccessful cakes that are being thrown away. When I finally get a recipe, that's where a lot of education work has to be done, because we're talking about vegan cakes, and back then 11 years ago in Singapore, nobody knows what's vegan. So I have to do a lot of education work, trying to convince them that cakes can be done without eggs, without dairy, and also without cane sugar. And plus we use all the healthy ingredients. And with a lot of kind feedbacks from our customers, we started to improve our recipes. And over the years, I can tell you, cakes can definitely be healthy and delectable too. Hello, hi everyone. A very good morning to all of you here with me today. I'm Delcie Lam, the sensitive chef from Delcie's Desserts and Cakes.
And thanks to BELLS Baking Studio, I'm being invited here to share with you a little bit more about my secret of healthy baking. So just to tell you a little bit agenda of what we're going to do later on, I'm going to share with you like how I do my bakes. I'm going to tell you why I do that. And at the same time, to give you a little demonstration on a recipe that is eggless, dairy-free, cane sugar-free, as well as oil-free. It's suitable for people with diabetic condition, it's suitable for people who are vegan and vegetarian, and it's also suitable for young babies as young as 8 months old, as long as they can take solid in their food. So without further ado, let me tell you a bit more about what Delcie's Desserts is doing. So over the last 13 years, I lead my team of very talented chefs. Together, we research and develop recipes for people with certain health conditions, and as well as people who are looking for healthier alternatives. We bake for people that are vegan, who are vegetarian, who have diabetes condition, as well as kids with food allergies. So unfortunately, as a developed country, the kind of diet that we are exposed on a daily basis are very unhealthy. So I want to bring forth something that is healthier in a dessert form, because after all, I also enjoy eating a lot of cakes almost every day actually. So of course, earlier on, you also watched the video, and that is the real reason why I wanted to bake healthy. I always believe that desserts and cakes can be made healthier. I don't just talk about a little healthier, entry level healthier. I'm talking about going all the way healthy. So as a with nutritional background for myself, I understand every kind of food that goes into my bakes. And having said that, because I want my family to be healthy too, I want to stay healthy for them too. So hence, baking is my way to go and my outlet to, I would say, enjoy my lifestyle on a longevity level. So for Delcie's, as I mentioned, we have a lot of categories, mostly in the health food category. We serve cakes that are vegan, we serve cakes that are for babies as young as 1 year old, as well as certified diabetic friendly product. When we exclude sugar out from our recipe, we don't just say that because I exclude sugar out from my baking, it makes it automatically diabetic friendly. It doesn't work that way. We actually have to send our product to a lab to get it tested on actual human subjects that comes into the lab on a fasting, with a fasting stomach, then have them eat our cakes and test their blood sugar level 2 hours later. So this is a very intensive test, and that is very clinical. And in order for our product to go through such tests, we have to make sure that not just excluding sugar, we have to make sure that carbohydrate and the glycemic index is actually truly suitable for people with certain diabetic condition, type 1, type 2, and even gestational diabetes. So for us, we want to make sure and we want to assure our customers when they eat our product, it's actually safe for them. And that's something that we do value a lot. And on top of that, because we also bake for people with egg and dairy allergies, so we also want to scrutinize ingredients down to the byproduct to ensure that they are truly safe for them. So in our entire bakery, in our Singapore outlet, we do not have any eggs or dairy baking in our kitchen. So all our cakes are all vegan friendly as well. So having said vegan, so a lot of people of you are thinking plant-based, what does it mean? Plant-based does not equal to vegan. Why? Because plant-based could simply say it's meat-free, but it may contain eggs and dairy, or it may even contain dairy byproducts. So in the next few slides, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the common allergies in Singapore. Now, anyway, just like earlier on, I already introduced to you my bakery. We'll go to the next slide. Thank you. And this is some of the accolades that we have gathered. We are also an approved Healthier Choice Bakery by Health Promotion Board Singapore. And we got this award in year 2011. That's a long way back, because I believe that cakes can be made healthier, right? So obviously, Health Promotion Board is the only organization that I can go to present to them that cakes can truly be made healthier. And I actually have to fight for this award. Okay, next. And this is some of the media exposure that we have over the years. Very thankful. and go on. Okay, so as I talk about cakes, I'm sure you would like to know exactly how our cakes really look like, especially if you don't know about us. Let's watch this video. Well, I hope you enjoy the sumptuous video, and that's what Delcie's Cakes is all about. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, you've seen the video, you've seen how our cake texture is gonna look like. And we believe that when we make something healthier, it shouldn't taste like a cardboard. It should look and still taste comparable to a normal bake. And that's how we can convince more and more customers in Singapore to re-look into desserts, because it can really be made healthier too. And let's go into the common food allergies in Singapore. And here are the lists. So if you're not so familiar with food allergies, well, I mean, we in Singapore, because it's a developed country, it's very common for young children to have egg, dairy, nuts, and I'm talking about peanut and tree nuts allergies. And it's also very common for Singaporeans to have soy, fish, shellfish, as well as bird nest allergies. You may not have heard about these bird nest allergies, but because in Singapore we are majority Chinese and we consume a high amount of bird nest, if you're very lucky, on a daily basis. But some of us does not have the immunity to actually counteract with bird nest. So there is protein in all of these ingredients, and hence when a person does not have immunity to actually counteract with the ingredients protein that is present in all these ingredients, and hence a response, which is the allergic attack, will happen. So don't get confused with allergies versus intolerance, because we do have a lot of customers coming to us telling us that they are allergic to it. Obviously, we'll treat them as if that they are really allergic to it. But however, some of them, they may have a delay response to these ingredients, which means, for example, lactose intolerance, very common among Singaporeans. So if you consume dairy, you may go to the toilet a while later. And this means that you're actually intolerant to that particular protein, which is milk. But allergy means it triggers an immediate response, and you can get hives, you get swelling, internally, and which cause your windpipe to actually close up, and that may result in death. So there are cases that results in death before, especially if the person does not have an EpiPen with him and he doesn't get immediate emergency help. But that's what we are all trying to prevent here. And I'm here to educate you so that you are aware, and you could also help people around you with such immunity deficiency. So of course, there's one more thing, which is what I call the food aversion. And food aversion is like you have a particular dislike towards something and you just don't want to eat it. For example, you may hate something that is very mushy and yellow, and you just don't want to eat mango or durian. And that is a possible aversion, and it's very psychological, and it is very real to this person as well. And if you have certain diets like that, please let us know so that we are aware and we'll be able to find something that is suitable for you too. Okay, so let's go next. And that's what we are here today. As avid bakers, we want to know how can we replace unhealthy ingredients in our baking. I'm not saying that eggs is all entirely unhealthy, but there are some of us who just can't take eggs. People who are allergic, people who are vegetarian, you know, especially on a no egg diet. So how do we know how and when to replace eggs? We must first understand that eggs is a very versatile and very functional food. We have them almost every day for some of us, but we need to understand when we look at a recipe, how can we replace them? But to do that, we need to understand the function. So first of the function is structure. So that's, you see, when you add eggs and you want to make, say, a custard, you want it to curdle. So that gives a lot of structure to it. Stability, flavor, of course, the ability to bind ingredients together as well. And that's one of the main purpose of having eggs in the baking. But at the same time, eggs also can give moisture. And if you understand your recipe well enough, you'll be able to find the alternative. Next. And these are some of the ingredients that are suitable to replace eggs. So for example, yogurt. If you take dairy yogurt, by all means use dairy. But if not, there are other plant-based yogurts that are out there that can easily replace eggs. We also use flaxseed, which is a combination of 1 tablespoon of flaxseed milk plus 2.5 tablespoons of water. And when you mix them together, it gives a very gel-like texture, almost similar to egg. And this is one of my favorite replacements. But however, in the later recipe, I will show you how to avoid using that. And because flaxseed is not easy to find. Right now, you can definitely find it in Phoon Huat if you want to have it. But if you don't bake egg-free food all the time, you buy 1 full packet of it because it expires so quickly, you may not want to invest in that. But later on, the recipe will show you exactly how to bake without that. Of course, we also have char eggs, yes? So it's like char seed, but mixed with water that gives you that gelling structure. And it's quite similar to flaxseed, but it's more milder in taste. It doesn't have the nutty flavor like flax. Next but not least, aquafaba. If this is your first time, hearing this aquafaba, like what exactly it is? It's actually just chickpea water. So in the vegan community, we use this quite a lot to replace egg whites. So let's say if a recipe requires you to use a high amount of egg whites, for example, your meringue, and this is when we will use aquafaba. Okay, do a little Google on it, and so that you can understand these ingredients a little bit more better. We also use tofu as a curdling, function. We also use bananas, pumpkins, a lot of fruits, and this helps to increase the moisture level, at the same time help as a binder. So in the next slide, it's just some of the main ingredients that I do use in our bakery in some of our products. All right, and we'll go to the next slide, which we will talk about dairy. Dairy, like eggs, highly functional. It gives beautiful flavors such as butter in your pie crust, in your tart. And I'm smelling all these at BELLS Baking Studio. But unfortunately at Delcie's, we just can't use them. For many reasons, it causes inflammatory in our body system, but it also, because we have a lot of customers with food intolerance, like lactose intolerance and allergies, especially the children. So I don't know why allergies are so common right now among the young children, especially in Asian children, because this is more common in the Western country. But I guess maybe because in Singapore, we are a developed country, we import all sorts of food into Singapore. Majority of these ingredients are GMO, and our body just do not recognize this food anymore. And hence, it triggers a certain type of response, which is like an attack. So for these young kids, especially if they are not out there under the sun, which I do encourage a lot, to have your children go out to the sun so that they can absorb a bit more vitamin D, that helps in your immunity, right? It helps to build up immunity and eat all sorts of nutritional food, and that will help them build their immunity system as well. And for us who are much older, of course, go out, enjoy the sun. I love the sun very, very much. And that helps a lot. So, but for the rest of us, I guess we just want to eat healthier, right? So, and this is the reason why we are here today. So don't forget that we are here to learn how to bake healthier. And for dairy, we need to understand what are some of the functions. Okay, so for dairy, it gives flavor, it gives the browning effect because it does contain a little bit of sugar in dairy. So when you bake a very beautiful, nice butter cake, right, you get this crust, this brown crust, and that's where the sugar from the butter comes from. Very fragrant. It also acts as like, I would say, a part of oil, right? So it's part of fats and it gives fats to the content. And here are some of the replacement, like avocado. Yeah, the first thing to replace butter, like avocado, coconut oil, and these are all high fat fruits that are natural to replace your traditional butter, but it also brings on a new type of flavor into the bakes too. So when you use it, you need to understand what kind of flavor it gives, what kind of structure it gives, then we add into the recipe to replace. And of course, cheese. Now, dairy cheese is very popular. And if we were to make it at home, we will use cashew, we'll blend it down into a smooth, creamy texture. We'll add nutritional yeast inside, and then a little bit of dairy-free yogurt to kickstart the fermentation to make your own vegan cheese at home. If you don't want to go into the details, you can simply just go cold storage and buy a dairy-free cheese. It's very easily available out there. And of course, ice cream, frozen bananas. That's what we have today for the recipe. So yes, you can freeze up your bananas, blend it down into a smoothie, and then if you were to refreeze it, you get your ice cream, and that's very delicious too. Cream, we use coconut cream, we use non-dairy cream, but be aware of non-dairy cream that's out there, because there are certain ingredients, especially byproducts such as caseinate, casein, lactobromine, even whey is not declared on the packet, although it claims to be non-dairy. Doesn't mean that there's no word called milk or no word called butter means that that product is by default dairy-free. So you need to understand all the byproduct ingredients of dairy before you can tell your customers, if you are baking at home for certain customers, that this item is dairy-free, that is truly safe for them, because you do not want to trigger an allergic response on them. Okay, so milk, plant-based milk, very common now. Almond, macadamia, soy milk, rice milk. So these are all the plant alternatives. So let's go on to the next slide. And so here are some of the ingredients that we do use in our bakery. We use a lot of organic vanilla beans, very expensive, but it gives that flavor. So when we drink milk, we thought that we're actually drinking the milk flavor, but actually it's mostly vanilla. So if you use good quality vanilla, you will still be able to bring out that vanilla taste in the product. Okay, so let's get into our baking demo now. All right, so for this recipe sharing, I use certain main ingredients like bananas, apples, and this is our banana apple muffin. And very simple to do. If you were to watch me do later, you'll be like, wow, so that's it. So there is a little technique that goes behind some of the steps that I'm going to introduce, but it's pretty similar to how you make your butter cake. It's pretty similar. So, but yet these ingredients are very easily found in supermarket right now. So you do not have to go to some special organic shop. Unless me, when I was baking 13 years ago, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, vegan bakes are very uncommon. When I tell people about vegan, they don't even understand what that means. Like how do you even do that? But it's so common right now. So, and this is why I'm here to share with you how easy it is to bake cakes and desserts that are much healthier in comparison. Okay, so let's look at the ingredients here. Yes, all right. So we have rice milk. So this is the plant alternative that I'm using today. Of course, you can use all sorts of other plant milk. But if you can take dairy, go ahead and use your dairy milk. But for this recipe, I'm using brown rice milk. I'm also using applesauce. All right, so this is basically apple puree. If let's say you can't be bothered to cook your own puree, which will take a long time, go ahead and buy a jar of baby food. All right, so because since you are baking for babies, if your baby's at home, this will be very common for you to store in your cupboard. We will also need some cinnamon, all right, and baking powder. Yes, and of course, our coconut sugar. So coconut sugar itself is a low glycemic index sweetener that is naturally extracted from coconut flour. So this will be a very good replacement for cane sugar at home. Especially if the recipe calls for brown sugar, this is the best alternative, because when you replace it in any recipe, it calls for 1-to-1 ratio, okay? And we are using a little bit of unbleached flour. So this is wheat flour. So I'm going to also, share a little bit about if let's say you want to convert this to gluten-free, it can be, replaced with gluten-free premix and then put into this recipe, and you still work very beautifully. So it's still a 1-to-1 ratio. For those of you asking about recipes, don't worry. At the end of the show, we will give you a recipe, okay? And then you'll be able to do this at home yourself. We will also need about 100 grams of banana, And then some of the tools that I will need will be my paddle mixer attachment. Definitely need a spatula, okay? I will need a tablespoon, okay? A fork for mashing purposes. So we're gonna mash our bananas later. I will need to use a sieve. I need to have a bowl, all right? And of course, I will need the cake mixer, all right? So here we go. First step, we're gonna mash the banana first, okay? Okay, so in order for me to do that, I have to weigh about 100 grams of bananas and make sure that you get medium size. For what I have here is a bit larger, so I will take about 3/4 of this. So I have a measuring scale with me. I just take note, you see, I just want to show you about bananas because it's very interesting. So you can see my banana is spotted, okay? And spotted bananas are actually very healthy for you because it is actually full on flavor. It's not rotten or overripe. So bear that in mind, you have to smell your banana to make sure that it's not rotten, okay? So when you unpeel it, it's supposed to look fair like that, not rotten, okay? So, or smash it or very, very wet. That's not the right way, okay, to eat a banana. So make sure they're still fresh that way, but with the little spots on the skin. So, wow, okay, very accurate, 100 grams here. Okay, so I'm going to mash it down. All right, so using a fork, just mash it down, give it a little mash. If you're going to make a very big batch, okay, so let's say you're catering for a party, all right, you want to make 30 of these. So this recipe can make you about 7 to 8 muffins, depending on the size again of your muffin cases. And so if let's say you have to mash large amount of bananas, it'll be best to get a masher. Okay. Or you can even blend it down in your food blender. So for here, since my recipe is pretty small, I'm just going to use a fork and a small little bowl just to give it a mash down. Okay. So bananas here in this recipe acts as a binder as well as a fat content. So you see, I don't use any butter, I don't use any oil, I don't even have shortening, margarine, whatever. I don't use any of those in the bakery. So here we just use banana, okay? Natural product. Okay, so once we get it mashed down, all right, I'm going to add this into the mixer bowl, okay? So this is the tabletop mixer. So I'm just going to add it in. Do not want to waste any of this goodness. Do you know that if you were to consume banana just before sleeping, all right, it actually makes you sleep better at night because it helps to regulate your mood. Yeah, and it contains a lot of potassium, which I bet all of you already know. But it also contains vitamin B6 that helps produce red blood cells, so which is good for your immunity. It also contains high amount of vitamin C, manganese, as well as fiber, which is about 10 to 12% of your daily intake if you were to take one. Yeah, and the recommended is actually 20 grams of fiber on a daily basis by Health Promotion Board. Okay. Okay, so I have added, yes, okay, here. So I've added the banana inside. The next thing I'm going to add inside is my apple. Okay. So all my wet ingredients here, except my brown rice milk. Then I'm going to add sugar, which is my organic coconut sugar here. All right. Okay. For those of you who actually consume coconut sugar, it's not cheap. You know, one kg of normal white sugar probably costs you about $2.50 now, I think, in the market. But coconut sugar can cost you up to like $8 to $10 for 500 grams. Okay, so so yeah, we are using on a 1-to-1 ratio here, but all for goodness, worth the money rather than giving the money to the doctors later. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to use this paddle attachment, right? Okay, so bring down my cake mixer and give it a slow mix. So I'm going to start with level 1, right? So just let it incorporate first, and then I'll move up to level 2. Okay, and then I'll just go high speed. All right. So this method is called the creaming method. So for those of you familiar in baking, you cream butter and sugar together. This is exactly what I'm doing right now, except I just don't use butter. Okay, I use natural ingredients. So we want to emulsify this fat, this natural fat, and then to dissolve the sugar in the mixture, so that later when we add the flour and your rice milk, you blend beautifully, so you don't get this like crystallized sugar inside. Okay. Just to show you how it looks like, okay, in the quick mixer, after blending, you look just like that, okay? Well, it's like a gooey mess, but you see that the sugar is already dissolved together with the apple and the banana. So seeing the lumps of banana doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the cooking at all. In fact, when you bite into the muffin, you get these little chunks of banana, which is great, Yeah, okay. So long it's not a big chunk of it. All right. So the next step would be to sieve your flour. Okay. To sieve your flour together with your baking powder and the cinnamon. So I'm just gonna put my flour inside here. Okay, into through the sieve. Okay. The cinnamon powder. This is about 1/4 teaspoon. Then we got about 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay. So this is double acting, which means that upon contact of moisture, you add one time, and then in the heat, you will react another time. Okay, okay, give it a good sieve so that the ingredients are well incorporated and remove all the impurities. Okay. All right, so we get this. So now together with the brown rice milk, we are going to pour half of this mixture into our cake mixer earlier on. Okay, so half of this inside first. Okay. So we're gonna fold this ingredient into two batch. Okay, and then put it to a slow mix. Still using the batter attachment. Okay. On a slow, so I'm going speed 1 at this moment. Okay. Okay, so very quickly, we add in the rest of the ingredient. Okay, so the rest of the brown rice milk and the rest of the flour mix. Okay. Put down your cake mixer and go cake 1 again. Just to get it all incorporated, I do not want to over mix at this point of time because gluten can be formed very quickly and it may just cause you to have a very gummy and like kueh texture. So that's not what I want to achieve here. Okay, so just a little while and then get it mixed. If there's still flour residue, use your spatula and fold in the rest. Okay, so I'm going to show you how it looks like at this point so that you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so a little close up. Okay, so you can see the side, the flour is not incorporated yet, but don't worry. All right, just fold it in. Okay. Okay, so make sure there's no flour residue at the bottom of the base, the bowl. Okay, so that's it. So this is done. Okay, this is how it should look like. Okay, and we're gonna scoop it into our souffle cases. Right, so our muffin case. So this is roughly the size that I'm using here. Okay. So I'm gonna scoop about 2/3 each. Okay. So recently we just completed, I mean, just to, because since I'm not talking about anything regarding to the recipe at this point, I'm just scooping the batter. So while you're waiting for me to scoop this into 7 muffin cases, I'm just going to share with you what we just went through at the bakery, because we just passed Father's Day, and Father's Day is in June, and we came out with a very beautiful cake, which is called chocolate nana, which is a combination of using bananas as well as chocolate in the recipe. But very quickly, now that Father's Day is over, we're already working on our moon cakes. So we are actually making our sugar-free moon cakes at this point. Not say making them, like preparing them for photo shoot and doing R&D. We are going to come out with a deconstructed mooncake in conjunction with NDP to launch a very special pop-up sale for a very limited time and limited quantity. That's very interesting because we incorporate local flavors like laksa and satay into our mooncakes, and they are absolutely delicious. And we make them the way we make it, which is vegan, which is sugar-free, and we use kombucha to actually create the skin, so the snow skin. So, and that's something that we have researched to give it a very QQ texture, very similar to what traditional mooncake would be, but without the sugar. So kombucha in the recent years has caught on. It has been pretty trendy. Some of us make kombucha at home. So it's basically a fermented drink and with yeast bacteria that can help build your gut immunity, okay, so that you digest better your food especially, okay. So yeah, and that's what we have been doing and always been doing year after year, a lot of research and development into our recipe to come up with new stuff for all our customers. Okay, that's great. So I have them all scooped into the souffle cases, and I'm going to put them into the oven, all right? So the oven temperature is 160 degrees. We are baking for 25 minutes. So you'll be wondering, okay, after that, so I have already completed the bake, okay, earlier on this morning, right? So that I can quickly show you the result of this bake. And then you understand how it looks like, what's the internal texture. And yeah, so, okay, perhaps I will show you. Okay, so this is after baking for 25 minutes at 160 degrees. Do bear in mind that unlike traditional bakes that contain eggs and dairy, we do not bake vegan bake at a higher temperature, which is the common 175 degrees. We bake them at 160 degrees to 165 degrees maximum, so that the slow baking will not burn the product. Okay, so vegan bakes are a lot more delicate in nature. Okay, so I have unmolded this muffin. Just have a look a little close up. The texture is just like a normal muffin. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. Okay, so you can see how it actually looks like inside. Okay, so it's perfect. All right, so you see, and it's still very springy. Can we use air fryer to bake? Well, actually you can, because the concept of air fryer is exactly like oven. They just use the same concept of convection oven and make it to a tabletop product. So whatever that you can cook in the oven, you can definitely do it in air fryer. Okay, just make sure the temperature is at 160 degrees with this muffin. So yeah, so now we have come to the end of the demonstration. Thank you for sitting on with me and listen to me talk about all the healthy bakes that we do at Delcie's. And I'm very privileged to be here. But before you go, I know you want this recipe. So please scan this QR code that will lead you to this site. At the same time, you will also receive a coupon code to get 10% off our product at delciesdesserts.com. So yeah, take your time, you can scan it. Okay, and this is the web page that will lead you into it. So in case you missed the QR code, here it is again. In the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy my muffin. I haven't had my breakfast. So you can see, so this muffin is very fragrant. Doesn't contain any eggs, no dairy, no oil. So for those of you that are trying to have low calorie food, this is also one of it. You can have this for breakfast. All right. So if you like to join us on social media, you can also scan on this or just add our handler at Delcie's Desserts. All right. Or otherwise, if you want to find me personally, I'm also on Instagram at Sensitive Chef Delcie Lam. Okay. So we are on Instagram, on Facebook. So I'll see you soon. If any questions, please feel free to ask now.
All right, right. There we go.
You want me to reply?
I think, well, there are a lot of questions coming in. I've answered quite a few as well. I'm quite impressed with my own baking knowledge. Okay, let's cut to me. Okay, let's have the screen back to me. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is Chef Delcie, the Sensitive Chef. Thank you so much, Chef, for sharing with us today on a very, very wonderful recipe. That's the banana apple. Like I told all of you, I tried it myself. It's wonderful. I'm a banana fan. I love my butter. I'm sorry. I love my eggs. I love my dairy. I love my cakes. But I can tell you what she has created there. You could never tell the difference. All right. Very delicious cake. And I'm very surprised that it's still very moist and that the flavors are all there. It's miraculous what this can do. And the best part, I've got a baby myself, a young little 3 months old, and I'm excited for her to turn 6 months so I can feed her some of these very suitable sweets that I think she'll love as she grows up. All right. And well, that's Chef Delcie for all of us. And like she mentioned earlier, you could always visit her IG or also her shop to get more information on all these healthy bakes. And just like how BELLS Baking Studio have brought you Chef Delcie Lam, we believe in bringing value to all our audiences, our students, and soon to be students that are with us right now in this Zoom room. And well, let me tell you, there is our baking symposium that will be coming very soon. And not to forget, also all our My Red, our baking program that my team will be flashing out the slides to you in a while on how you can join us in our baking program. This is the number on screen right now, 8868-8629. Wow, I suddenly realized you have that many eights. And it's a Saturday, so good for all. All right, so WhatsApp us. Our course consultant, practical consultant are ready there to reply you and to fit in a date that is most suitable for you to attend our baking program. Available in weekdays and also weekends. So whether you are the busy adult working out there every day, or you are an even busier homemaker, I think it's time to take a break from the children at the home. Come join us in our beautiful baking studio. located conveniently near MRT station at Tanjong Pagar International Plaza, East Point Mall at Simei MRT, and our biggest flagship baking studio with 6 beautiful design studios you can see on screen right now at the middle of Suntec City. We have with us a whole arena of more than 70 professional chefs with vast experience in baking that will run through with you beautiful recipes of cakes, cookies, bread tarts, and our latest edition, our dim sum program. So very quickly, pick up your phone right now, scan the QR code, or quickly take down the number at 8868-8629 for our course consultants to reply you. And if the reply comes in a little slow, do bear with us. Every time we run a webinar, there is a lot of reply, but we will definitely get back to you soonest. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you at our baking studio. And of course, not to forget, more importantly, a last shout out to our baking symposium that is on screen right now, coming to you on the 6th of July at the East Paya Lebar MRT station within walking distance to Lifelong Learning Institute, whereby we have taken down a mega event hall. We will have all our employer partners right there at the screen right now, joining you with jobs, and our participating partners all there with the latest technology and information on baking, flour, technology that we can share with you. And not to forget our master chef from BELLS Baking Studio, again with vast experience in the industry, one of them with more than 20 years in 5-star hotel in Singapore, that will be there to share with you 4 recipes from our latest dim sum menu. And trust me, I had our siu mai yesterday and it is wonderful. And there's a little secret to our dim sum recipe in BELLS Baking Studio that I wouldn't let the cat out of the bag right now, but when you are there, if you look at our recipe, and you will understand why our recipe is so special. Lots of students, in fact, right now in our studio, if you pop by Suntec City, Simei, East Point, or even International Plaza, you will see our students busy baking away and having the time of their life. So come join us with your friends, because we adopt a buddy system in our baking studio, 2 person to a station, and you will learn to bake together and have fun, or join us and make more friends and bring back your own baked goods after every lesson that you can share with your family and friends. So not to forget, if you need to know more about us, come join us at the Baking Symposium, 6th of July, 2022. And we look forward to seeing you at Lifelong Learning Institute from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And let's have fun together as we bake the year away. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for joining us today, giving us that 1 hour of your time. Whatever that we have today, the recording will be available on our social media. Give us a day to process it, and the recording for Chef Delcie will be available at the link and the QR code that she provided to you just now. And not to forget that 10% off. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again. Looking forward to seeing you at our baking studio, and more importantly, at our baking symposium. And with that, I wish you a good weekend and all the best ahead, and we'll see you soon. Thank you and goodbye.